Bonjour à tout le monde, à tous. Mon nom est Chris Forbes et je suis le sous-ministre d'Agriculture et Agroalimentaire Canada. J'ai l'honneur de présider cette célébration virtuelle de 75e anniversaire de la FAO. Comme nous l'entendrons aujourd'hui, il y a 75 ans, du 16 octobre au 1er novembre 1945, les délégués de 39 pays se réunissaient pour la toute première conférence de la FAO dans la ville de Québec. À l'époque, la Deuxième Guerre mondiale avait provoqué des ravages, des pénuries importantes de nourriture, une diminution de la capacité de production en agriculture et une détérioration importante de la fertilité des sols. It was agreed at the time that the FAO should be brought into being to collect and disseminate information, give advice and technical expertise, and recommend action to other international agencies and to governments. 75 years later, as we grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic most recently, but other challenges that we are faced with, we've looked to the FAO to provide analysis and evidence-based advice to countries around the world to help us weather the storm, just as was envisioned in 1945. We have an interesting lineup of speakers today to help us underline the importance of the FAO and the extraordinary work that's been done over the last 75 years. We'll be hearing from my boss, the Honorable Marie-Claude Bibeau, Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food of Canada, Secretary Sonny Perdue, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, the DG for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and the Honorable Nadine Giraud, Minister of International Relations and La Francophonie of Quebec. So without further words on my part, I will turn to Minister Bibeau to deliver her remarks. Minister.
Merci, Chris. Secretary Perdue, Director General Chu, Ministre Gibault, distingués invités, je suis très fière d'être avec vous aujourd'hui pour célébrer le 75e anniversaire de l'Organisation des Nations Unies pour l'alimentation et l'agriculture. Et bien sûr, nous soulignons aussi l'importance du Programme alimentaire mondial qui s'est récemment vu décerner le prix Nobel de la paix. It is fitting that this honor should recognize the importance of the fight to end hunger and to improve conditions for peace in areas affected by conflict. I also want to recognize the great work of the North American Regional Conference. Canada and the United States played key roles in founding the FAO, and we are delighted to continue to play an important role. The 75th anniversary is a great opportunity to look back at our achievements and at the challenges that lie ahead. Canada has been part of the FAO since day one. Exactly 75 years ago, the first meeting of the Food and Agriculture Organization was held in Quebec City, the capital of my home province, I might add. The meeting was chaired by none other than Lester B. Pearson, a future Prime Minister of Canada and a winner of the Nobel Peace Prize himself. Many of the themes discussed in Quebec City are still relevant today: rural welfare, soil conservation, and education and research. Then, as today, the world was facing a global food crisis. Today, our world is ravaged not by a war, but by a pandemic that threatens to throw over 100 million more people into chronic hunger. Already, 1 in 9 people around the world go to bed hungry every night. That's almost 700 million people. Clearly, the world still needs the FAO now more than ever. With the UN Decade of Action unfolding, Canada is committed to working with the FAO to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, especially the second, zero hunger. Canada believes that there are 3 pathways to feeding the world sustainably: science and innovation, trade based on science and predictable rules, and inclusive food systems. Firstly, science and innovation are essential to farmers' productivity and global food security. C'est pourquoi, au Canada, nous faisons des investissements historiques en sciences agricoles. Nous avons 20 centres de recherche situés partout au pays. Nos scientifiques travaillent pour les producteurs agricoles et les transformateurs alimentaires canadiens pour leur offrir des solutions durables tant sur le plan économique que sur le plan de l'environnement. Des solutions comme l'agriculture de précision ou comme des cultures résistantes à la sécheresse, aux ravageurs et aux maladies. Ces innovations aident les agriculteurs du Canada à augmenter leur production et à nourrir le monde. Elles contribuent aussi à la lutte contre les changements climatiques. To give you just one example, Canada has pioneered the Living Labs initiative, a world first which has been endorsed by the G20 Ministers of Agriculture. Living Labs bring farmers and scientists together in the field to develop practical, workable tools to help farmers grow their production sustainably. Secondly, Canada believes that the best way to reduce global food insecurity and poverty is to ensure our trading environment is based on predictable and enforceable rules and supported by the principles of science and risk. Farmers will only be able to feed the world sustainably if they have access to the right tools and technologies. And they need to be able to rely on trade rules and domestic regulatory regimes that are based on science, evidence, and risk. Again, FAO's role is vital. Your scientific advice on international food standards helps to ensure that our trade and regulations are based on sound science and risk. And that's a powerful weapon in the battle against world hunger and poverty. Canada supports the great work of the FAO through bodies such as the Codex Alimentarius at the International Plant Protection Convention. And we continue to work through the WTO, the G20, the G7, and with our partners around the world to remove trade barriers and help food get where it's needed. As you know, here in North America, we have launched the new NAFTA. This new agreement is the result of a lot of work by our three governments. That includes Secretary Perdue, who is a big believer in strong trade partnerships. This agreement covers the world's largest free trade zone, connecting our farmers to a market of over 500 million consumers across the three countries. En terminant, pour enrayer la faim, il faut penser les systèmes alimentaires de façon inclusive. Depuis cette première rencontre à Québec, la FAO s'est concentrée sur les groupes vulnérables et sur le développement social des régions rurales. Aujourd'hui, nous savons que cette vision doit inclure la chaîne d'approvisionnement alimentaire en entier, de la production à la distribution et à la consommation jusqu'à l'élimination des déchets. Au Canada, nous continuons à travailler ensemble pour renforcer notre système alimentaire. Avec notre toute première politique alimentaire pour le Canada, nous allons concrétiser une vision d'avenir où tous les Canadiens seront en mesure de se procurer les aliments dont ils ont besoin. Des aliments sûrs, nutritifs et diversifiés selon les cultures locales, et ce de façon innovante et durable. We also know that to strengthen global food security, we must empower women, youth, and Indigenous and other underrepresented communities. We need their diverse perspectives at the leadership table. So once again, I want to thank you all for your great work in the fight against global hunger and poverty. Canada shares FAO vision for a food system that is sustainable environmentally, economically, and socially. Last Friday, we celebrated World Food Day. This year's theme is an eloquent call to action for the entire global community as we face the challenges that lie ahead. Grow, nourish, sustain together. Our actions are our future. Monsieur le directeur général, votre organisation célèbre ses 75 ans de réalisation et je peux vous assurer que le soutien du Canada sera là pour la poursuite de votre mission. Merci.
Thank you, Minister Bibeau. We'll now turn to Secretary Perdue. Secretary Perdue, the floor is yours.
Hey to all, and I want to thank Minister Bibeau and Director General Chu for inviting me to this event, to marking this historical milestone. I want to compliment Minister Bibeau on some very articulate remarks that are very appropriate in this 75-year celebration. And congratulations to my friend and colleague to the north, Minister Bibeau. As we celebrate these 75 years, which is a major milestone in the history of the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, it reminds us that our shared purpose from the FAO Constitution from 1945 is still enduring. At that time, we established our commitment to, one, raising levels of nutrition and standards of people. Secondly, increasing the efficiency of the production and the distribution of food. Thirdly, bettering the condition of rural populations. And lastly, all the while expanding the world economy to ensure the freedom from hunger. This mission still holds true today, and I'm very proud of the part that the United States has played to advance this mission. I want to recognize the wonderful legacy of collaboration with our neighbors to the north, our Canada friends, and with the FAO to advance the cause of human prosperity, especially in rural areas. The U.S. and Canada were pivotal in launching the FAO, which makes it particularly rewarding to me and Minister Bibeau to celebrate this 75th anniversary, Director Chu. The concept for an international intergovernmental organization to champion solutions in agriculture came from David Lubin of California, who was an American farmer and merchant. Mr. Lubin was concerned with the plight of the farmers during times of economic depression and worked to persuade ministers in several countries to build on his idea for international collaboration. At the invitation of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 44 countries met in Hot Springs, Virginia, in 1943 to build a plan for the new permanent organization that was to become the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. And I think it is fitting today that today's commemoration aligns in time with the very first session of the FAO conference held in Quebec, Canada in 1945, as Minister Bibeau has reminded us. Today, 75 years old, we have made collective progress with huge strides toward the goals that were outlined even then. That said, we all know that the world is a very different place than it was 75 years ago as it pertains to the quality of life of people all over the planet. Thanks to many of the missions and progress that were made through the FAO and to technology, we're more than now connected for a global community than ever. People are living longer, healthier lives. Globally, everyone is more prosperous at than at FAO's founding. For example, in 1950, 72% of the world's population lived below the poverty line. Today, less than 100 years later, less than 10% of the world's population lives below the poverty line. This dramatic transformation happened in great part due to agricultural productivity. Thanks to policies by many nations and the work of the FAO that spurred investment in new technologies, we're able to produce more food and trade it globally, which boosts farm income and directly benefits consumers all over the world. And I believe, and I think you share this belief, that we have a moral responsibility to continue to feed the growing world population, and we can accomplish far more together than we can apart. You know, I can't talk about all these efforts to alleviate global food insecurity without pointing, Director Chu, to the great work of the World Food Program, which is the largest humanitarian organization addressing hunger and food insecurity in the world. Earlier this month, the World Food Program, we all know, was awarded the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for its effort to combat hunger around the world. Under the leadership of my good friend, David Beasley, the World Food Program has been among our most successful partners in terms of its reach and effectiveness to bring food to those who need it most. The United States recognized how important the World Food Program is as a partner to help eliminate hunger on a global scale. One of these projects, just last year, the U.S. committed more than $3.6 billion to projects carried out by the World Food Program. The goal of our McGovern-Dole program is to reduce hunger and improve literacy and primary education in low-income, food deficit countries around the globe. The World Food Program currently implements 12 McGovern-Dole Awards in 11 countries. In addition, in 2020, McGovern-Dole awarded $119 million for 5 projects across 3 continents, providing school meals to an estimated 590,000 primary and pre-primary school children. Finally, in response to COVID-19 and the closure of schools around the world, our USDA has authorized the World Food Program to distribute over 19,000 metric tons of USDA-donated commodities as emergency take-home rations to approximately 1.5 million children who would otherwise be attending the McGovern-Dole supported schools. The World Food Program is just one example of the work being done to help eradicate hunger on a global scale. As a global community, we must continue to work together to feed a growing world population. Together, we can continue to support the World Food Program and other UN organizations to help us achieve our shared goal of feeding everyone on Earth. For 75 years, the FAO has done its part, and it's a pleasure to be part of this commemoration. So I want to thank you for allowing me to join you today. And Director Chu, I look forward to us continuing to work collectively to meet head-on the challenges now and in the future. You may know, I know that you have a motto at the USDA. Our motto is to do right and feed everyone. And that's not just here in our country. So thank you for allowing me to participate today.
Thank you, Secretary Perdue. A good closing comment there. I will turn it over to the Director General, Dr. Chu. Dr. Chu?
You should, I'm controlled by you.
I've got you under control, sorry.
Honorable Ministers, my dear USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue, Dr. Sonny Perdue, and also the Minister of Canada, and my friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a pleasure for me to be with you today to mark the FAO's 75th anniversary ahead of the 6th informal North America Regional Consultation. In fact, I had been looking forward to being in Quebec City in person with all of you to celebrate this milestone and share with you joy and the vengeful celebration of the 75th year of our journey together. Canada and the United States hold a special place in FAO memory and in our heart. It was Hot Springs, Virginia, USA, where the seed of FAO was sown. President Franklin Roosevelt convened the Allied Conference on Food and Agriculture at Homestead Hotel in 1943, while the 44 participant governments committed to founding a permanent organization for food and agriculture to eliminate hunger, promote nutritional well-being, and increase agricultural productivity. The seeds were sown in 1943, and at this historic conference bloomed in 1945 in Quebec City, Canada, where the FAO was born. And its first session held at the renowned Chartier of Frontenac, overlooking the Majestic Street Lawrence River. The world in the wake of the World War II was ravaged and hungry. Millions lost their lives in the conflict. Millions more were dying of starvation. Farming was devastated. FAO was tasked with taking the world out of this misery and on the path to equitable development with access to adequate and nutritious food for all. It was a daunting task, but our leadership's commitment, our employees' tireless work, and the strategic guidance and huge support from our members gave us the strength to take on this historic challenge. It gives me immense pride to state that commendable work has been done over the last 7.5 decades. Farmer output has increased exponentially. Farmers have been averted, and hundreds of millions have been rescued from hunger and poverty. None of this would have been possible, as I said, without your support. Since 1945, Canada and the FAO have worked together towards finding solutions to the most pressing issues of our time and new ways of delivering support to those in need. Canadian contribution over the years has enabled FAO to reach the vulnerable populations in crisis-affected areas, while supporting rural transformations through the investment in agricultural productivity, livelihood opportunity, and women's empowerment. Over the decades, the United States has grown to become our largest financial contributor and a pillar of strength for us to lean on. The U.S. is indeed a key partner, collaborating across all our areas of work, from global food trade and safety to disaster assessment and resilience building to the advancing science innovation for taking global agriculture forward. Today, as we celebrate the 75th anniversary, it is my duty and honor to place on the record our gratitude to both these great nations for being such meaningful partners to FAO. While we recognize our success in enhancing production and making it more sustainable and resilient, and eradicating endangered animal disease, promoting aquaculture and building livelihoods, I'm fully cognizant of the difficult journey that lies ahead. Our work is far from done. So our mission is not yet accomplished. After diminishing steadily for decades, hunger is on now rise again. Nearly 700 million people still suffering from the undernourishment. Over 2 billion are malnutrition, malnourished. COVID-19 and the economic recession it has brought with it is bound to add nearly 130 million more to the ranks of hunger and malnourished. The pandemic has led by the fragility of our agri-food systems, the fragility of our food supply chain, and the precarious nature of the agricultural labor force and the thin line that separate many families from poverty. Now, more than ever before, it is time for all of us to come together, ensure that deliverance from hunger and malnutrition, especially for the marginalized and vulnerable populations. The urgent need to address global food security is rightly recognized. Ending hunger, improving nutrition, and promoting sustainable agriculture are critical challenges for the world. They are not challenges that any one country can solve alone. They will require not only renewed efforts to improve the domestic policy and the capacities, but also a strong focus on the strengthening international cooperation to ensure that adequate investment in science, research, and innovation are made for achieving better production, better nutrition, and better environment and better life. I'm convinced that embracing innovation and technology in agriculture is the way to transform our agri-food systems and sustainably feed the world for centuries to come. At FAO, we have made a good start. FAO is advancing corporate culture for innovation in terms of our mindset and business model. We are working hard to build a digital FAO, embracing our digital service to the members. ICT application leads to systematic changing from production to the consumption. In order to leave no one behind, we are placing a priority emphasis on the countries and the areas most affected in terms of hunger and poverty levels. This is what the Hand in Hand initiative is focusing on. It aims to accelerate agricultural transformation and sustainable rural development based on data and innovation. The initiative counts on state-of-the-art technologies, such as the Hand in Hand geospatial platform, which delivers key information for decision-making, and the data level for statistical innovation, which combines unconventional data sources, big data, artificial intelligence, and data science for decision-making and impact evaluation. And to cope with the pandemic, we launched a comprehensive COVID-19 response and recovery program. The program focuses on the scientific data collection, purposeful poverty reduction strategies, enhanced trade and food safety standards, and greater preparedness against the next zoonotic pandemics, among many other priority areas. To deliver upon this, we need an agile, vigilant, and responsive FAO, a lean organization with minimal redundancy, a flat horizontal organization with no silos, an open and transparent organization with deep and meaningful partnerships, a modern organization with science and innovation as its building blocks. As we meet to mark 75 years of our organization, it's my promise not to rest until we succeed in transforming the organization to take on today's and future challenges head on and work tirelessly in partnership with all nations and stakeholders to eradicate hunger and malnutrition for all times. Let me end by quoting the President Roosevelt, who said, "The primary responsibility lies with each nation for seeing that its own people have the food needed for the health and life. But each nation can fully achieve its goal only if we work together." My call to all of you, dear friends, today is a call for solidarity, a call for action to make changes. I thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Director General. I will now turn to Minister Giraud. Madame la Ministre, vous êtes sur Sourdine, peut-être?
Pardon. On va s'habituer après plusieurs mois de COVID. Alors, Monsieur le Directeur général de la FAO, Monsieur le Secrétaire à l'Agriculture des États-Unis, Madame la Ministre de l'Agriculture et de l'Agroalimentaire, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je suis très heureuse d'être avec vous ce matin pour souligner le 75e anniversaire de la FAO, cette importante organisation onusienne qui marque également un moment important dans l'histoire des relations internationales du Québec. Comme vous le savez, c'est à Québec, au Château Frontenac, que s'est tenue le 16 octobre 1945 la première session de la conférence de la FAO. Outre le prestigieux hôtel de la Ville de Québec, la place de la FAO, située dans le Vieux-Port, rappelle également à la mémoire cette conférence fondatrice. Au-delà de ces liens historiques, le gouvernement du Québec a renforcé significativement ses relations avec la FAO au cours des dernières années. Cette collaboration privilégiée témoigne du leadership et de l'expertise qu'exerce le Québec en sécurité alimentaire et en agriculture durable, particulièrement au sein de la francophonie. Le Québec est l'un des États fédérés qui affirme avec le plus de force son rôle et son identité internationale grâce à un réseau de 33 représentations dans 18 pays. Au cours des dernières années, le Québec a aussi collaboré avec la FAO pour soutenir sa mission dans l'organisation de colloques, de stages, de divers projets et de prêts de services, entre autres. Je suis particulièrement fière du partenariat technique et financier signé entre mon ministère et la FAO et qui vise le renforcement de la résilience au changement climatique de deux pays francophones vulnérables, le Sénégal et Haïti. Ce partenariat novateur a déjà des retombées sociales, économiques et environnementales concrètes, sécurisant par le fait même les revenus des producteurs agricoles des deux pays. Notamment au Sénégal, dans le cadre du partenariat, les projets en matière d'optimisation de l'usage de l'eau ou encore d'adaptation des systèmes d'élevage appuient directement les objectifs du Plan national d'adaptation pour le secteur de l'agriculture du gouvernement sénégalais. Par des exemples concrets comme ceux-là et de nombreux autres, le Québec souhaite continuer de renforcer et d'élargir ses relations avec la FAO dans plusieurs domaines dans lesquels il excelle, notamment en matière d'innovation et d'intelligence artificielle, cette dernière étant de plus en plus présente en agriculture. Des secteurs de pointe identifiés dans la vision internationale du Québec où le savoir-faire du Québec n'est d'ailleurs plus à démontrer. Évidemment, quand on parle de crise sanitaire, l'année qui s'achève aura été marquée par une crise sanitaire d'une ampleur inégalée. Nos vies ont été bouleversées, le sont encore, et tous les secteurs sont touchés. L'agriculture et le vaste domaine de l'alimentation n'y ont pas échappé, évidemment. La sécurité alimentaire mondiale et les chaînes d'approvisionnement ont été fragilisées, mettant à risque des millions de personnes. Dans un contexte d'urgence mondiale, l'unité et la collaboration sont déterminantes pour mener les actions les plus appropriées. Je tiens encore une fois à souligner le leadership exercé par la FAO dans les derniers mois et féliciter ses dirigeants pour les efforts déployés en vue de développer et coordonner la réponse aux menaces qui pèsent sur l'agriculture et l'industrie alimentaire mondiale en raison de cette crise COVID-19. Cette crise, malheureusement, est loin d'être terminée. Le gouvernement du Québec entend continuer de soutenir la FAO dans cette lutte en mettant en profit l'expertise québécoise en sécurité alimentaire et en continuant de participer activement à ces réflexions sur l'avenir des systèmes alimentaires et des chaînes de valeurs agricoles. Pour ne citer que quelques exemples, nous avons récemment signé un nouveau partenariat avec une chaire de recherche spécialisée en diversité et sécurité alimentaire, en plus de lancer un plan de soutien important aux organismes de coopération internationale pour contribuer à la lutte contre la pandémie mondiale et ses effets dans les pays les plus vulnérables. Les deux partenariats québécois ont également reconduit leur protocole d'entente avec la FAO, soit l'Université Laval et l'Union des producteurs agricoles. Par ces actions, je tiens à assurer la FAO de la volonté du Québec de participer activement aux mesures de relance agricole et alimentaire. En terminant, depuis 75 ans, la FAO se donne la mission essentielle d'éradiquer la faim et la malnutrition à l'échelle planétaire. La lutte est toutefois une responsabilité collective, comme vous l'avez dit tout à l'heure, qui nécessite une collaboration de tous et une vision intégrée et multisectorielle. C'est un lourd défi, mais je suis confiante qu'en unissant nos efforts, nous pourrons tous y arriver ensemble. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Ministre. So next, we're going to take a little time to showcase a short video that has been prepared by our colleagues at the FAO. In it, we'll see some early footage from the days that the FAO was created 75 years ago. And I think you'll see it's an important look back at where the FAO has come from, and certainly, as many of our speakers have just said, where we still have a number of major challenges that the FAO is set to tackle. So if we can play that video now for people to watch.
On this day in 1945, FAO's constitution was signed in Quebec. During its first years, FAO was hosted in Washington, D.C. before it transferred to Rome in 1951.
The aim is that every man, woman, and child in the world should have the food he needs to be really healthy. It is the beginning of a great world plan which will put common sense into the affairs of men. A plan which will put politics and economics on the road to world prosperity and world peace. When
FAO was founded, the world had just come out of World War II, with large parts of the world facing hunger and deprivation. FAO's founders believed agriculture to be the cornerstone of human development, and in the past 75 years, the world has made great progress in the fight against poverty, hunger, and malnutrition. However, challenges still exist. Today, there are too many people who do not eat 3 healthy meals a day. Even before COVID-19 struck, more than 2 billion people did not have regular access to enough safe, nutritious food. Nearly 700 million people were going to bed hungry. The economic disruption caused by the coronavirus pandemic threatens to push another 130 million people into hunger by the end of the year. FAO's mission and its mandate are as relevant as ever. Over these 75 years, FAO and its partners have worked hand in hand with communities where food security has been threatened by conflict, economic shocks, environmental disasters, and pests. To address these challenges, We will have to effectively harness the data, technology, and innovations needed, and we will continue to work together with existing and new partners.
Thanks for that video. I think a short but powerful summary, I think, of what we'd heard from many of our speakers today about both the successes the FAO has had over the last 75 years and I think the challenges that are before us, and reinforcing, I think, a message from all of our speakers about the importance of collaboration globally to fight and take on some of these challenges. I'd like to thank all of the speakers today for giving us such a clear picture of both what has happened and brought us here and the important work ahead of us. I think Canada as a country is very happy to have had an opportunity to host all of you today and to host the meeting going forward, and to take time and reflect on the milestone that we're at and the important roles that Canada and the US have played in bringing the organization into existence. In closing the first FAO conference, Lester B. Pearson hoped that millions of workers may someday live better lives because of these meetings, and I hope in all the meetings that we have that we can think that going in and also say that coming out. Donc, je vais conclure la session d'aujourd'hui 3/4 de siècle plus tard, en émettant le souhait que le travail de l'FAO continue à améliorer les conditions de vie à travers le monde. Merci à toutes et à tous pour vous être joints à nous aujourd'hui. Donc, merci beaucoup et bonne journée. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and thanks again to all our speakers. Take care and stay safe.